A little bit about everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we are with Stanley Williams, and we are talking about club life, past, future of club life. And Stanley, please tell us what should we are waiting for in this industry. What way?
Well, in the summer season, as you know, if you've seen, there's a lot of little mini festivals that's going on. People are going out to those, especially because the weather is beautiful, of course. You have like the Alpha Future people, you have the Sensation White, but there are also a lot of other small ones that people like to go to. For the winter, I'm looking at a lot of, we call them multi-project clubs, in which you'll be finding music, art, fashion, and music all in one space. This is what we're hoping for anyway. There's no more big dance floors from what I see in Moscow anymore.
So big clubs will die?
They will die. They will die. The big clubs will...
How many big clubs for Moscow will be fine? Two, like Space,
I would say,
for example.
Space will be one, but Space will be one big club. But that's more of what I'm saying. Like a little, that's a really mini festival inside. That's not an open air. There's going to be these places where they have many little festivals like that. You will have a space where you bringing in many artists and DJs to play in one little space in the winter time too. And the reason for that, because it's cheaper to book a lot of acts, a lot of small acts for a festival than just get one act and everyone will depend on that act. With 10 good DJs, you're guaranteed a show, because people, one of the names are going to be attractive to a certain clientele. I think for the future, we have to just see, because right now we're going through a change. But I do think after 2017, the club business is going to explode. Everyone is just going to escape and experience the new things that they've been missing for the past 2 years, as far as this economic embargo and things like that. Things are going to blow up really good. It's going to be like the 90s again, but more sophisticated. I think in 2017. So I'm looking good. I have a very good outlook on Moscow, and I do plan on staying here and being a part of doing these festivals and bringing people in.
What can you tell us about your first trip to Moscow?
Oh,
when it was? How many years ago?
Wow, my first trip to Moscow was in 1993. I came to do a tour for a club called Metelitsa, and they gave me
casino. Club
there was
casino,
a casino.
Yeah.
But at that time, of course, there were so many casinos here, and this casino wanted me to open up the nightclub and bring people in. For a while, I just said I'll stay a month to bring people in every week. And I met a lot of good DJs some of them are still playing today. Alexander Smell, we worked together. Many people. Anyway, it was different for me because there was really different types of people. There were the people who would dance to like the really pop clubs, and then you had the techno clubs. At that time in '93, it was pure techno. Only later, back when Garobi, when he came in, the music started getting a little funky and elite with the club Titanic and all of that. That's when I remember that part. That's when I said I was going to leave Moscow, then I'll come back again. But these places was very strange for me, because at the time I didn't really know the language, but I just knew by just feeling the energy of the different people. And it was really, really good, I must say. It was very good.
What projects in Moscow you like more? I mean, not our time, but
back
for
then?
example, 10 years ago, yeah.
Oh, well, you see, there were projects, there were really cool projects. The first project I liked, like many years ago when I first came here, was the Hermitage project. The Hermitage Club was something that was really, really interesting, because at that time, it was spawning of a new type of music. Remember, I was telling you that it was just techno and just pop, like strada pop. At this time, there were a lot of underground artists coming up. There was rap coming in. Rap was first being introduced to Russia. This is rap, pure alternative rock, like groups like Dva Samalot, Nogus Velo, if I said that right. All of these people were blossoming. The Night Wolves, motorcycle team. These bikers, they're all in one space, and they exploded to the scene. That's today you still have that brought you that give you this good rock and roll scene, this good alternative scene like that's happening all over Moscow now. One of the other projects that was good that I enjoyed basically was the club that I did. It was called Buddha Bar. I opened up the first Buddha Bar here in Moscow. But what happened was because of the at that time you couldn't just say any name because of it was a little different back in the 90s and 2000s. The embassy told me that I can't use the name Buddha because it's a religious name. So that I said, well, okay. So we had to change the name to Karma Bar. And then we decided to move on to the next one.
But embassy of what country told you?
Malaysia.
Like Malaysia?
Yeah, Malaysian embassy. They sent the letter to the president, to Tom Yeltsin, I guess. I think he was the president. And said that we can't use this name. We don't want them to use this name because they sent it to the mayor, to Lushkov at the time. So we had to change the name. And that kind of really changed our business a little bit because everyone was waiting for the Buddha Bar because the people who went to Paris, they knew what it was. So we changed the Karma Bar. We lost that clientele that we was really pulling for, and we gave it away to someone else. Other projects that I see, stop.
Okay, Stanley, what can you tell us about Club Legend, Studio 54? How it was?
Oh,
how many famous people were there? How many people were there in general?
Well, there were famous people coming in there every night. It was just a
Tell
really
us
wonderful
names.
It was a wonderful experience. Okay, it was a wonderful experience for me, and it was the first time that I ever got a chance to play for celebrities. You had people like Eddie Murphy, Robert De Niro, Bianca Jagger.
Nice.
Madonna, all these people were coming in and out of the clubs. So every week, everyone wanted to have their birthday party there or something. And I was fortunate enough to play on a Friday night. For some reason, they all like to have their birthday party on a Friday night to celebrate. And it was wonderful. So that was my night, Friday nights at Studio 54. But then there was a time when the summertime came. A lot of people don't know this, but I do have the documents to prove it. There was another Studio 54 at the same time. There was another.
In New York?
Yes, in New York. There was none in New York. This was the Studio 54 for the jet setters because there was a lot of jet setters there. So in the summertime, the jet setters weren't hanging in New York. So they would all go down to the Studio 54 in the Virgin Islands, the Caribbean. So there was another small Studio 54 that you can go there and hang out and dance, and then from there you can go straight to your yacht and keep going. So it was one of those where I was invited to play down there, and I love that too. I stayed there for 6 months. So coming back to New York, the club scene had changed a lot. Studio 54 had its time, and then there was other big clubs that was called like Area, Limelight, and all these clubs were.
How many people, for example, Area?
Area was about 500,
inside?
600 people. That's big for a New York club. For 600 people. Even back then, there weren't big clubs like 3,000, 2,000. There were just one or two. But back then, to have 500 people in your club at one time, that was something that was really good. And the thing about New York City clubs, they were packed. They were packed not on Wednesday nights. You would get 500 to 600 people.
In the middle of
the week.
Yeah,
yes. You would get that kind of clientele. So all the cool people like to play on the weekdays. And we always said Friday and Saturdays are for the tourists. So.
But what about atmosphere? What about parties?
Oh, the parties were great.
What about show?
Oh, well, the parties were show. The shows were great. I remember one show where I played for Grace Jones, and she would come, and she had a birthday party. We had a birthday, and she would come in riding in on a motorcycle inside the club, and everybody's just jumping out the way. But that was her interest. She wanted to do. It was same as like Studio 54. That was a little before my time when Bianca Jagger came in on a white horse. So Grace wanted to do it too in the later time, but it was on a motorcycle. It was great.
So show was not only in the stage, but
no, it was
from the guests too.
Yes, the show was not only
in
in the
every
stage.
corner.
It was in every corner. So there were also displays, like the club area. They would have displays in which you would thought you were in a museum, in which they would have a live artist there painting someone as you passing there.
I see.
So you would have someone painting, you would have some sculpturing, doing a sculpture while the club is still going on. So you would think that you're inside of an art gallery working. And that's, believe it or not, that's where I met famous artists. Actually, I did a work with them, helped them one time with Andy Warhol, Jean-Michel Basquiat, and Keith Haring. Worked with all three of them. But at that time, I didn't know they were, I wasn't into the art scene then. And only until later, I found out that I was working with some of the most talented, brilliant geniuses in the world. I didn't realize that. I was young. I was 23 years old after that time. So the atmosphere was really good. The most important thing was the owner or the manager, who's ever running the place, had to have his personal touch there. You cannot say, if I want this club this way, you cannot expect somebody else to have the same feeling for you, no matter who it is. So if you want a club as an owner, if you want a club that way, it's good for you to be out there at face control yourself. You have to. This is what's the secret. This is the secret of Steve Rubell.
But face control was very strong, yeah?
Very strong, very strong. But it was diverse. Diverse meaning it was many different type of people. You might like, if you ever seen the film from the film Studio 54, you might had a guy who worked, who looked good, who liked to dress, felt good. He was from a guy who was probably a shop salesman in a clothing store in New Jersey. And then Steve Rubell would invite the president of Burundi to come in. So the people were very mixed, and that was the secret of New York, because all of the clubs, it wasn't about face control. The face control is something that to be honest, I've only heard this in Russia. But what we looked at was character. If you was there and you was just standing there and you can be patient. Oh, right here, this is where I'm at. If you can be patient with the doorman, they will let you in. But if you start saying, "Oh, why you don't?" No, you're not in. So that's how they judge the character. It was more of character control. We want to pause, or we want to keep going?
No, let's go there.
Okay, let's keep going then. Yeah. So the people was
By the way, so
well.
many famous people were there, and for me, like for a developer, very interesting. What about their bills? How much money they spend in the clubs? I mean, these superstars.
Well,
because in Russia, usually, if you invite superstar in the club, you need to pay for it. At least you need to pay for it, and you need to make a table. You need to pay their bills. This and that. What about
in America,
how it was like?
It wasn't that way at all.
There?
In Studio 54, people would pay their own bills. That was a good thing. People, you was a friend of Steve, but you still have to pay your bills. And because these people were friends of Steve, they didn't see the difference between a celebrity in here and a celebrity at the time in America. The celebrity wanted to be there more than wanted to be in the club more than the owner would, and this is the key. See, you have a celebrity say, "Oh, we want to bring you in. Come on, we'll pay." No. The celebrity, if you want to come in our club, this is how you. If you want to be in our club, this is where you should be. And this is the same as like the hot spots that are going on now in New York and California, where all the celebrities like to come and hang out and look.